all these great saints, all these great missionaries, they preach the gospel in the vernacular. The Bible is often taught in the vernacular, but the rite in itself connects us to Rome. And in a way, it's immutable because we've already seen in our time, you have to update English, so one in being with the Father. It's not theologically wrong or heretical, but it doesn't really capture what the Latin or the Greek says, right? Or, even something like, the Lord be with you, et cum spiritu tuo is the answer, and with your spirit. Well, in the 70s, they thought it should be, and also with you. And you can see right there that just got dumbed down a little bit. So you just multiply that, and you're going to realize that every 20 to 30, 40 years, you're going to have to change the language of the vernacular. And what's dangerous about that? Well, whoever gets to change the language also gets to change a little bit of the theology and a little bit of the meaning. You're having to play catch up every 20 years and having to monitor the people who are constantly translating and updating the Mass to mean what we want it to say. And early on, even in the Greek Orthodox that uses still Greek, or even Old Church Slavonic, which uses Old Church Slavonic, and in Latin and in Aramaic, there has been a linguistic conservatism that says, let's stick with these tongues, with these languages, so that our theology can be preserved. And unfortunately, beginning in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, there was the idea we need to constantly update the message. And that means we also need to constantly update the liturgy. But we've done that experiment now for 50 years, and we've started to see that attendance is down and there's confusion, and we're having to rewrite and debate the texts in all languages. You might remember it's a big controversy when the Germans first put into the consecration of the precious blood that Christ died for all, even though the Greek and the Latin says for many, right? This was a huge controversy, and it went on and on and on. And finally, Pope Benedict says, no, everybody's got to put it for many, because that's what Jesus said at the Last Supper. But for decades, you have people, scholars, theologians, people in the pew saying this is not what Jesus said, right? So one of the beauties of the Latin Mass is you just get to not worry about all that stuff. It's locked down, it's locked in, and you get to pray. Sometimes when you're in the Latin Mass, I don't even know who the priest is until we get, sometimes to the gospel or the sermon, like, oh, it's Father so-and-so today. Because he's invisible. He's in persona Christi. That's why we dress him up in these fancy vestments. I want him to be hidden and clothed in Christ. He's in persona Christi. And that's another genius of his position at the altar, as you've seen. It makes you look at the crucifix more and less the priest, which is what we should be doing.